Welcome to the Three Path Profits podcast, where we'll talk about business, finance, social media, and everything in between on our paths to profit. Three different people, three different side hustles, one common goal profit. My name is Kyle,
My name is Lexi.
My name is Amanda.
and we're your hosts. Set the proper expectations for today's episode. Our format will be as follows. First, we'll hear from Lexi, who will talk about everything related to her Etsy shop. Then we'll hear from myself, who will teach all things investing. Last up, we'll hear from Amanda, who will go over the latest in the social media world. Let's dive in.
Okay, so to start from last week, I wanted to touch for the Starbucks versus Dunkin' debate. So I did the same order on both of them. It's a little hard though, just because like they don't have the exact same things. But I tried to make it as pretty much as the same as possible. And at Dunkin's for a large, it was $3.29, and at Starbucks it was $6.37. So Starbucks is $3.08 more, which is almost two of Dunkin'.
Yeah, almost double.
Yeah.
That's actually crazy.
Yeah. And Dunkin' is actually 2 ounces more than Starbucks is in size of cup.
So it's more expensive for less
Yes.
volume.
I just wanted to
It's
make
about
note
what I
on that.
expected.
Okay. So to now dive into my stats and the Etsy shop and everything in between. The last 7 days, I had 8 views and 7 visits and 0 orders. The last 30 days, I had 84 views, 55 visits, and 0 orders. Overall, I'm very happy with the last 30-day numbers. I've definitely been slacking on posting a lot with TikTok and Instagram and on Etsy, just kind of promotion wise. So I can kind of take the blame on why the last 7 days haven't been obviously super great. But overall, I feel like I've still been moving in the right direction with everything. So, some merch ideas. So, I was thinking, since everyone's pretty much like going away from plastic shopping bags could be a good idea, like the ones you get from Aldi. Because I had something happen. I went to, I think it was TJ Maxx, and they were like, "Do you want to pay 10 cents for a bag?" When I was checking out, I was like, "Are you fucking kidding me?" I was like, "Well, I guess because I'm not going to carry all of this shit out by my hands. Like I wasn't expecting this." So, I think especially with us moving in that direction, which and that wasn't even a plastic bag. That was a brown bag. So, I think definitely with moving in that direction and how much people go to Aldi and how many people have their own bags like that, even just to like carry stuff from one place to another, that could be a good idea. I was also thinking the mail cutter, like you guys were saying, the chip clip, hat, decals, water bottle, koozie, and like even like a little small plastic cup. I feel like everyone always has those in their kitchen. They're always like the shitty cup that you just like throw whatever you need into really quick. So I feel like every kitchen has them. So I feel like that could be just a nice small thing as well.
I love when that shit happens when you're just living your life and you have a good idea like that. Same thing whenever I'm just doing whatever and I randomly get an idea for something to cook. The best feeling.
Yeah, the minute I was asked to buy a bag, I was like, that right there. Let's use off of that. And then the same thing, I had my protein shake and I was using one of the shitty cups because I was like, I gotta get to work. I don't really care if I bring this in my like truck with me, like whatever. And I was like, this would be perfect, just like a small little shitty plastic cup. Okay, so more on the topic of the Yetis that we were discussing. So I did figure out what it was called. It's a paint and varnish stripping gel. It's called Citrus Strip. This is what it looks like. This is the 64 fluid ounces, and it was $40. But I don't think like it. This is a lot bigger than I feel like it looks on camera. For one project, it doesn't really seem like it's going to take that much of it because you just pretty much use a thin layer to put it over top of whatever you're trying to get rid of. I've watched some videos on it. I didn't really look super, super deep into it, but I will be doing it hopefully this week just to kind of play around with it on one of the Yeti cups that I already have, just to see if it works, how long it takes, because it says you could put it on for 30 minutes to 24 hours. So I think it just kind of depends on what type of product you're putting it on, because like you could put it on wood, you could put it on any type of paint. So it's just kind of test and play, I guess. So again, I was thinking you could get a lot of, for that price, you could get a lot out of it with smaller cups if you're only using a little bit, because even I think it was like $12 for the Armor Etch that I got. I've used it for at least 6 cups and I doesn't even look like I've touched it once. So I feel like this could be kind of the similar thing. So yeah, I'll just kind of keep you posted on what goes along with that. I'm definitely going to be videoing myself with that to kind of play around with it, make some short reels, post on TikTok, Instagram, and whatnot.
So the 64 fluid ounces, that seems like a lot. And you made the comment, it seems like it's bigger than it comes across on camera. Give some context on how long do you think that's going to last? Is that going to last you a while, you think?
I mean, here, wait, let me grab something really quick.
And then a follow up question while you're checking on that is two follow up questions, I guess. The first one is this something that when you put on the Yeti that you were talking about, I'm going to be able to put in the dishwasher? It's much more the high quality. It's the thing that I won't have to worry about long term, correct?
Yes.
And then, secondly, or thirdly, the second follow up, the decal sticker, is that what this is? Is that what you're calling this on the site? And is it up on the site as like the Yeti with, so is it going to be two different things? Like the Yeti will be an option with this paint and varnish stripping gel, and then the decal sticker is a separate option. And the decal sticker is the cheaper one that we talked about, and this citrus strip is the better, more longer lasting for like a specific thing like the Yeti. Is that right?
Yes. So the decal sticker is its own separate entity. I posted that already on my shop. It's just a standalone that you could put on your car, laptop, whatever. I'm going to do two separate types of the Yeti cups. I'm going to do the ones that, like you're talking about, with vinyl added to it, or using the citrus strip. I'll probably, if all goes well with the citrus strip, I'll probably use that more because I would like the long term of it all, the more reliable, I guess, because again, the vinyl could go at any point. You don't really know. You don't want to have to say only hand wash and like be really delicate with it. So I feel like all in all, as long as everything goes well with the first time using it, I kind of get my like the gist of it all and understand it. I feel like I probably would lean more towards that, and I'm going to start with only posting the citrus strip and then also adding the vinyl maybe a little bit later.
That was going to be my question to follow up on. The answer was, are you going to post the Yeti and have like an options section at two different price points of, you can do the vinyl option that's going to be yay price, and it's, you're going to have, you should hand wash it and things like that, or there's this higher premium option at a different price point? Is that something you're thinking about?
Yeah, for sure. I think that's definitely going to be my way to go about it because I mean that's just what it is. I feel like the citrus strip's really going to make it, you're taking off what the Yeti is like the Yeti company has already put on it. So it's just the stainless steel or whatever it's made of behind it. So there's nothing
Hmm.
any more to come off, if that makes sense. When
Right.
you're putting the vinyl on, something can come off. The vinyl could come off at any point in time. Again, you don't know. So I think I'm definitely going to have to really think about, I guess, price point, obviously, because one, Yetis are expensive in general, and two, what I really would consider the difference between the lower quality with the vinyl and then how much is it really in the difference with long term wise. Also, if I did the citrus strip.
I have a few questions.
Yeah, and this is my
I'm
last.
sorry, go ahead, Carl.
I have one. I have one more comment here. Um, the citrus strip, when you take it off the Yeti, you said there was nothing more to come off. That just made me think, as a consumer, would there be any risk of, once you etch that out, whatever it is, the emblem, is there any risk of more of the whatever Yeti put on there coming off and deteriorating to show more stainless steel? And then just my last comment after you answer that is, it'll be definitely something to think about of how you're going to price that and what that whole dynamic is going to look like, which I'm sure you're going to have a better idea after you try it.
Yeah, I would say I think it's definitely, to my knowledge, for cups that I have that have been etched into or like engraved, or it's broken down just to the stainless steel with whatever design it is. I have had no issues with any of the paint or varnish or whatever you want to call it, whatever is on the glass that's not stainless steel, like the color wise, come off anymore. I don't think it would, because I mean, with how long you've have these cups, I mean, when you drop it, yeah, you might see a little bit of stainless steel depending on how hard it hits the ground, but I don't
Mm.
necessarily think if it's in a controlled area and you wipe it all away that it would continuously break down around the area. I'm not for certain. I don't know that obviously for sure. I haven't done enough research on it to know that, but I can get some answers on that as well.
Mm.
Before you go, Amanda, I did want to touch note on one of Kyle's points of the 64 ounces and how long we think it's going to last. This is 2.8 ounces, and this was the armor etch I was talking about.
Gosh.
I've done 6 cups. It doesn't even look like I had made a dent into it. Granted, yes,
Mm.
I think it's going to be obviously a lot different with the citrus strip because it is a lot more, it's a lot harder for the already material or paint or whatever they put on it to come off of the cup. So I might have to use more of it. I might have to let it sit on there longer. There's a lot of different variables. I think I wouldn't know exactly how long it would last me until I try it once to really get the feel of how it works, what it's like. From the videos I've seen, it doesn't really take that much.
It'll be interesting, and I'm excited to see that video. I hope you get some content of that and using it to start, and I'll be excited to see what the Yeti and how it turns out.
Lex, I don't know if you said this already. Have you ordered some Yetis already?
No, I'm just going to use some of the Yetis I already have. I already have a bunch. I'm definitely going to use my like big emotional support water bottle to start, just because I don't know what I'm going to put on it yet, but I was like, I don't really care if I mess this up. I'm going to take this wherever I go anyway. So we'll see how it goes.
And then follow up to that, when you post it, are you planning on ordering some so that when someone orders it, you have some? Or are you going to wait until someone orders it to get one to make it?
I would probably wait, and only because almost every like sporting store has them. I could just go run out if I need to get one really last minute. If not, I could then just order it and wait for the shipping.
And do you have a certain size that you're going to list?
I would say probably the regular like coffee cups to start, like the
Yeah.
taller, slimmer ones, because I feel like a lot of people use those for just like everyday drinks, and also like coffee in the morning or tea or whatever they drink. I would say also probably a 32 to 48 ounce water bottle. I don't really think my big 64-ounce water bottle is needed right away.
Yeah.
I would say also in the description, would note that you could get any size Yeti, but prices would vary depending on the size as well.
Mm.
Because I believe also on the Etsy shop that you can change different prices based off different designs or colors or variations essentially on the shop for the listing
Mhm.
once you post it.
So does that mean you can change it like after someone orders it? You can say, "Well, wait, you want a more complex design or you want a bigger Yeti, so now it's actually going to cost this much even though they already hit pay and check out. Can you change it at that point? Is that what you mean?"
No, I meant like post once you actually post the listing on your shop. You can do the different variations and different prices and quantities and whatever before you even list it.
Mm.
So I would probably put all of the different sizes on there to begin with, but really promote the smaller
Mhm.
sizes or the ones that most people are using on a day to day rather than the ones that might be a more few far and in between ones.
Yeah. And then my last question, does Yeti make the I think they do. I have the Corksicle brand or something like that, the ones that like seltzers can fit in. Like you don't pour something in it, you just put the can in it, you know what I mean? Does Yeti make those?
Yes, they do. I have one.
You should add that to it too. That would be cool.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that. That's definitely a good idea because I know a lot of people like to have those instead of a
Yeah.
regular koozie because that holds it
Yeah.
colder for longer. All right. Any other questions about the Yeti? Okay. So, kind of how I already touched that I did post the decal sticker to my shop. I don't know if that's going to change anything on views or visits. I just did it. I think it was like Monday or Tuesday. So, it's very quick before we started filming. I do want to make the 3 path profit sticker for us, see how that goes with all the like detail and intricacy and all of that stuff with it. I don't know how that's going to affect the sticker and see how hard that will be for me because I know even just with the smart vinyl and putting it on the shirts and whatnot, it was a lot harder just because again how intricate the design is compared to like all the different small things you have to pull out and whatnot. So we'll kind of see how that goes with that. I'm going to be doing just kind of how we touched on again, doing more generalized designs and then trying it, giving those pictures and videos once I've tried it, but still making sure that it's generalized as well, that people know they could do essentially whatever they would like. Then the giveaway for the results on that, I only had 3 winners, so it was supposed to be 5 winners overall. I didn't get much traction from doing that, but I think it might have been the wrong product to maybe do a giveaway on.
Mm.
I understand it was a smaller item and it was easy. I already had it, but I just don't know with all of the technology. There are a lot of people who don't use regular paperback.
Mm.
They have the Kindle. I mean, hell, I have the Kindle. So I think there's a lot of controversy on whether people would still want a bookmark. I get the understanding behind it because don't like I love every once in a while actually holding a book, but the easiness of it, of the on the go, I can get any book, Amanda, you tell me in a matter of seconds. I don't have to go order it. I don't have to wait for it. It's in my hand in a matter of seconds, and I can start reading it right away. So I think I was thinking, obviously, this is a lot more on the pricier side, but I could do if the Yeti cups start doing really well, the promotion of it works, this, that, and the other, I could do something with that. Maybe even just do 1 winner instead of 5 winners for a Yeti cup of whatever they would want. So that's kind of my thought on that, just because I loved the idea. I just don't know if execution would once I thought about it more, was the best way with the product that I was promoting.
That's awesome to hear you say because it testifies to you got to try shit and figure it out, and I love that. So it's awesome that this was a good learning experience, and I think your analysis and reflection is spot on. The idea is with a giveaway, it has to be a product that everybody wants, and a Yeti is something that even if you have five, you still want a brand new Yeti. I don't care who you are, you want a nice Yeti versus the bookmark, like your point, not everybody is going to be like, as soon as they see that, I have to have that, or why wouldn't I at least enter for that? The bookmark is much more of a specialized thing for someone like Amanda or I who prefers the paperback, who's going to invest knowing that they're going to be spending time reading a paperback versus a Yeti. That's universal. Everybody's going to want that. Everybody who sees that would enter that. And I do think again with the one winner versus five, I think you make the more expensive investment up front of choosing a better product but having less winners. It gets more people involved. You're going to end up with better results for that.
Yeah, I agree for sure.
I like the idea a lot too.
But I wanted to say thank you again, Amanda, for making that
Yeah,
for me.
of course.
I might need to hit you up again whenever the time comes for the Yeti, as long as everything goes well when making the first one and we see how it actually goes.
Hell yeah.
So, just to kind of sum up goals for moving forward, continue to promote, use the Citrus Strip on a Yeti, take a bunch of content, post that content, really take time and seeing how long it takes me to do it, how much I'm using, how hard it is. I really want to focus a lot on this because, again, I do think this could be a product that, again, like you're saying, Kyle, who doesn't want a new Yeti, even if they have five of them? Especially with something that is more personalized to whatever they want on it rather than just a plain one. So there's going to be, I feel like, a lot more that I do with overall investing on this item, and also just to continue post and make items on my shop, even if they're generalized, just to kind of continuously have things going up or promoting.
Okay. I think that means I'm up and we will jump in with a portfolio update. Little different format of the portfolio update. I'm going to be giving net value, net asset value first. Like always, that's still at 1,047 and 16 cents. That is a positive. That's awesome. Last week we were in the green, up 0.38% versus the S&P was up 0.23%. 1 month, the portfolio is down 0.21% versus the S&P up 0.66%. And year to date, my portfolio is up 4.72 versus the S&P being up 17.04. So I think this perspective gives a little better comparison of how the portfolio is performing versus the S&P, the broader market at large, and shows that yes, we're in the green, but we are underperforming the market. Whereas if we just bought the S&P 500, we'd be up more. So there's always opportunity cost in investing. I'd love to see it green, but it always stings a little bit knowing that you missed out on a better opportunity. But that's all part of the game. And I'm just kind of shedding some light on that. And I think that's a good perspective here. But with that being said, it's not my goal necessarily to outpace the market. My goal is to provide risk adjusted returns consistently through dividends. So I'm not necessarily always as concerned with the year to date return as terms of a percentage versus the dividend income that the portfolio is putting off, if that makes sense. So now I will share the Excel doc just like last week.
Just to kind of note while you're getting that ready, I
Sure.
really like that setup, just being able to see like how Amanda does like the week stats. I do like the week stats and like my month stats. I really like to see like the last week, 1 month, and then year to date, just seeing in comparison, because I feel like, yes, you've been positive every time. It changes a lot, but it's nice to see that over 1 month, like I didn't even think that you were down compared.
Right. And that's where I think it does provide that extra perspective. I agree. It gives you because each week to week, you don't always remember what it was last week. You're not always like keeping those tabs, and each week adding the extra anchor point to see the comparison is definitely helpful.
Look at all the green.
Yeah. You guys are seeing this.
Oh yeah.
Looks good. We are more in the green than last week. Can you see when I toggle to the 814?
Yes.
Can you see? So now you can see 814. Now you can see 822.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, as you can see, the 814, we had 4 in the red: Bank of America, Kraft Heinz, Prudential, and Ford. And then this week, it's just Prudential and Ford. So Kraft Heinz and Bank of America both moved up over the past week. They are now in the green. Last week, we had Coca Cola and the TLT on top. They were at 10.2 and 8.9 versus now we still have Coca Cola on the top. The TLT did improve, but the S&P, the SPYD did catch up and move into second place. So any questions, comments from you guys on the graph here?
Feel like no, actually.
Yeah, I don't have anything.
Cool. Well, I like doing that, so I'll keep doing that moving forward. I did get a lot of inspiration from a guy who I follow on Seeking Alpha, one of the outlets that I like to use for research. He does this portfolio very similar to mine, where it's called Dividend Harvest, and I'll share my screen on that. Actually, he's been doing it for 181 weeks, almost very eerily similar to a same objective that I'm trying to achieve. And I've been following his for 2 or 3 weeks now. Can you guys see my screen now?
It's loading. Yeah, now I can.
So his name is Stephen Fioriolo. He's just an analyst who does this on Seeking Alpha. You can publish articles on here, which is cool. But this is the title: Dividend Harvesting Portfolio, and he labels the week. He posts each week, very similar to we do. He's got $18,100 allocated into the portfolio, which yields $1,657 in projected dividends. So that's a pretty good yield. He's doing something right, and he's very detailed. You can tell he's very skilled in finance. And this is just kind of the setup of his. He goes into a summary, has a lot of really cool graphs depicting how the portfolio's performing, some analysis on it, the overall performance, what he's buying, what he's selling, what his allocations are, how the annual dividend is diversified, where the dividends are coming from. This is a really cool graph here. So this is 2024 dividends by week. And you can see it changes per week. He gets dividends every week because he owns a lot of securities. And you can see this comparing to last year's. The 2024 weekly numbers are much higher because he has those dividends reinvesting, and he also does a weekly allocation of $100. So his weekly allocation is higher than mine. You will see his jump faster because of that higher consistent attribution. But it's cool to just see how the dividend income increases. And this is the idea. And hopefully, this is what my portfolio will demonstrate as well.
That's a really cool graphic. I like that a lot.
Look at this one. So, this you can see he's been doing this for around 3 years, started in 2020, started in April of 2021, And in that month, he got $3 of dividends. And in his latest month, well, his highest month of 2024, he got $158 in dividends in July.
That's cool.
Yeah, that's really cool to
Very
see the different years, what each one is yielding per month, and how far he grew from where he started.
You need to start
Yep,
making some of these graphics.
I know. And that's part of what he's inspired me to do is I've been working in Excel to get better at pivot tables and just displaying data in a more friendly manner. And he's obviously had a lot of practice at it. He's very skilled with Excel and reporting. So that's something that I will be working on moving forward to develop those kind of graphs. But hopefully mine looks as good as his does in 3 to 4 years. But that's like the whole idea. That's what's super cool is just looking at his gives you a little insight on what this is hopefully going to become over the longer term here, and that we're not really just trying to chase a one-hit wonder, a scheme or of some sort just to make a quick profit. This is supposed to be a long-term enduring effort to build an income stream through a side hustle. So the new update from last week, the additional money that I will start allocating to the portfolio weekly, like I mentioned, is going to be $25 per week. That will start not this next week, but the following week, the first week of September, I will start that allocation. And again, just to clarify, and I'll continue to clarify as we move forward, but I won't necessarily always buy something. I plan to, but I'm not going to pigeonhole myself into, I think I've mentioned this already, but if the $25 deposit goes into the account, which I'm just going to set as a recurring schedule, if I don't have something that I have a real high conviction on, or if I'm just not ready to pull the trigger on something, I don't necessarily have to use that $25 to invest. Cash is technically an investment. It's considered an asset class. So when that $25 goes in there and it's sitting as cash, that technically is an investment. You're holding it as cash. So I won't always buy a security immediately. That's kind of what he does, the dividend harvesting guy. But I'm going to be a little more selective in trying to time my opportunities a little more rather than just consistently purchasing something just to purchase something when the money goes in. And I think that kind of touches back to one of the very first episodes that we were talking about setting that recurring investment and getting that to be your anchoring point of getting you interested in stocks and why you should check the stock market, why you should check your stocks prices, because as you get a little more experience and you get used to seeing that $25 go in every week, you just start to get a pulse on it of, well, the market kind of seems a little high right now. I think over the next week or two here, it's going to come down a little bit. There's a big Jackson Hole Fed thing coming up that you think is going to impact the market. Maybe I'll just let that $25 sit there an extra week. Just be a little patient. When the market dips a little more than you think it should, that's when you can be a little more selective to buy. That's how people move from being a passive investor to an active investor. Once you start taking an active interest in the prices and the stocks that you're buying, you gain an edge because you're getting that active pulse on it. So just again to touch on that, that's why I think it's so powerful to start checking prices, but also get some form of a scheduled investment going, even if it's as small as you need it to be. Whether it's $1 a month, any amount that you're consistently compounding on is important. And it's more of building the habit and the skill just as it is to get the compounding actually started.
Not that I've started putting money in and doing any of that yet, but it is cool to like I've realized myself whenever right before I go to the bathroom when I'm at work, I always put my screen, like I minimize everything and it'll always show me like the little current events like on the side, and it always shows the S&P, and I always think about it, and I'm like, ooh, it's up. I'm like, oh wait, and then like the next day I'm like, oh, it's down. Like, and I'll immediately think of you and like what is happening with your portfolio. So I think that is just cool. Like, yeah, I'm not actively doing it, but I'm still thinking about how it's affecting you and your portfolio.
That's cool. I definitely think that's where most people start, where it's you probably use what, Microsoft Edge?
Yep.
Yep. And Microsoft Edge, they put those current events up there. They put like the S&P or the Dow or the Nasdaq, the market indicators. And I think that just kind of sparks people's interest. And then you once you click on that, if you actually click on it someday, it'll give you some articles about like why it moved that way. And that's how it starts progressing, because then you go down a little bit of a rabbit hole. And it's interesting to see the progression of how that happens for people, because that's how it started for me too, right? Like I had the app Yahoo Finance or something, and would just get the pinged notifications, the S&P's up this today or the S&P's down this today. And then it just, you start building that's your beginning anchor point to build your knowledge base around and your reference point. So moving on to dividend update for the portfolio, $0 received over the past week. Again, like I mentioned last week, pretty low key month for the portfolio. No dividends scheduled, no more earnings to go over. Year to date dividends still sit at $9.32 of income produced. Cash is sitting at $9.44. Next dividends to be received will be September 3rd, and that will be Pfizer and Ford. And then moving on to earnings update. Again, there's not really an update there. First earnings that we have up next is Bank of America. That will be on October 15th. So you can tell, like I mentioned previously, they're kind of all clumped in a cluster because they all have similar fiscal calendars where they all are going to report for the same quarter of earnings around the same time. So all of the earnings are scheduled to come out between October 15th and the first week of November. So that will be a pretty jam packed 2-3 weeks of reanalyzing, going through those financial statements and sifting through all of that good stuff. So that'll be up on the docket when that comes around. But for the meantime, there won't be really any earnings related updates for the next couple weeks. Macro and current events. Fed officials argue for gradual cuts as Powell readies for Jackson Hole. Jackson Hole is a Federal Reserve symposium where the Fed meets with economists, all the people you would think of who are important in economics and finance, and they talk about the economy, the unemployment, inflation, etc. And it really kind of sets the stage of what the Fed's intentions are, where they see the economy going, gives you a really good market gauge. It's a gut check of some sorts, and where you get a lot of information on what the Fed is thinking and what their next moves are. So that is happening today and tomorrow. So it's going to be huge. It's going to be really covered all over all of the financial media space. And we'll have a lot of updates next week on the results from those. But wanted to point it out this week because it's already moving markets this week. It's all the talk has been about so far, as in anticipation for the event. What are they going to do? What are they going to say? What do the economists think they're going to do come September, et cetera? So it's on there for this week, and it will be a big focal point of next week as well. Kamala Harris looks to cement a political transformation when she delivers her acceptance speech at the Democratic National Convention. That actually already happened, but I had it on my notes because we're recording a day late. It's just interesting to see how, like, obviously I made the take a couple weeks ago. I think she was going to get booted and they were going to get somebody else in. That obviously didn't play out. It's interesting to see how the narrative has kind of changed. There's a lot of support and a lot of just energy kind of growing around her campaign right now, which it's obviously getting closer and closer to November. So just like in sports, it's really all about who's hot when the playoffs roll around. And in the political landscape, we're definitely getting closer to that playoff point where the polls matter more, the the posts matter more, etc. So it'll be interesting to keep a pulse on that moving forward.
I like don't
In addition,
sorry. I like don't understand what do people like about her? Why? Like I agree with you that there is a lot of that going on right now, but why?
I'm personally not a fan of hers, so I can't speak for those individuals, and I won't really try to.
Yeah,
I just don't understand it. I was listening to PBD's podcast the other day, and I love their podcast. They all just argue about politics between the group of them all the time, and it might have been PBD that ran the poll himself. He ran a poll on his story and was like, "Who's the most hated or most unliked?" I forget how he worded it, and it was Hillary Clinton, Harris, and I forget who the third one was. And Hillary Clinton won. And so then they were talking about the difference between Hillary and Harris. And Hillary actually like did stuff. Like they were saying what was she, a senator and something else. And Harris, they were saying even before she kind of got shoved into this, somehow she got like shoved into whatever position she had before this. And I feel like how did she get here? Like, how did this happen?
It's a good question. I think that's a lot of the questioning that's going on right now, and kind of why I thought she was going to get the boot is because nobody voted her to be the nominee. So it's and anecdotally, my experience has been even people who are supportive of that party and were Biden fans weren't fans of hers, and that's kind of just like shifting now. And it's been a weird dynamic of how it's gone, but I still, from an anecdotal standpoint, have not personally felt that support for her or any kind of reasoning of why she's so great, um, versus what the media and the overall like zeitgeist narrative is publicly. I just don't feel like that's the same in like my personal life of people who talk about her and just conversations. And I think that is the general sentiment that I share, is just that I don't think she's the best candidate from the Democratic Party, and I don't think she really deserves to be there because she didn't get voted in there. And like you're kind of questioning, like where did she come from? Just to add some perspective and a counterpoint of Donald Trump never held any office either. You could make the same comment of like where did he come from the first time? So you don't. There's no requirement to have like a long-standing experience of political offices held or something like that. But it does just beg the question of most people haven't even like heard of her a few years ago, and then she was the vice president nominee, or she was running for president, and then she became the vice president, and that's pretty much it. It kind of came out of nowhere, like your point is, and I think that's just a little
Well,
weird.
and apparently when she was running for president, she literally had something really low percentage wise, close to 0%. And that's why she stopped running for president.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah, she was very unpopular.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Lex.
I just think it was easy. She kind of just stepped up whenever Biden said he wasn't running anymore. So I feel like that's why they didn't really pick anyone else. She just kind of stepped into the role herself, and it was easy for them to be like, well, she kind of is already doing it, so
Well,
we'll just let her.
yeah. And that's the thing. They can't say, oh, she can be vice president. Oh, but she can't be president. That would make them look so bad, you know?
Yeah. Okay, I'm back now.
The last thing that I want to say about this whole topic before we move on. The only thing that I haven't watched any of it, so I didn't know this without listening to PBD's podcast. But the only thing that they said that I feel like we can't really talk shit about is every single Democratic president in past years was there. And we can't say the same thing about the Republican National Convention. Like Obama was there, all of them were there. Bush was not at the Republican, none of them were there.
Yeah, and I will add to that. There's a growing majority of Trump's former supporters from the prior campaign who have publicly come out and renounced him and said they don't support him, he's not fit to be a leader, etc. So it is interesting to bring that point up and see how people who have worked so closely with him aren't comfortable with him running the country, which I don't think is talked about much on that side of the aisle.
Yeah, I just think, sure, you don't agree with everything Trump stands for, but what's the worser of the two evils? If you don't support Trump, then that means you support Kamala.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that's my biggest complaint. Um, Me being or claiming to be apolitical is that it's mutually exclusive and it's a winner take all setup where there's two parties, and if you don't like one, then you're boxed in or pigeonholed into the other. And I think that's just wrong and just I don't align with. But the last comment I'll add, I don't, like I mentioned a bunch of times, I don't like to get too political. I bring up political current events just because they have impact on our markets and my portfolio. I think it's good convo and important to talk about. But the last point is just that Harris could underline the threat that Trump poses to U.S. prosperity by standing up for fiscal responsibility. Bloomberg's editors write. So, what that really means is a big advantage for her that she can say, and what's really important from a fiscal side of things right now is the fiscal deficit, how much the government spends. And whoever makes a better stance on that and makes a better claim to reduce the deficit and reduce spending and get our deficit in a better position should get a huge support for that, or is anticipated to get a lot of support from that. And that's where I just wanted to shine some more light on how these candidates really can affect the markets, because they make spending decisions by the governments, they impact interest rates, they impact so many things that it is important to just consider what they're going to do or what they potentially could do and what the differences are between the two, even though you can't actually predict any of the outcomes.
Just to kind of go off of that, I was actually on TikTok earlier and I was just scrolling on my For You page, and this lady was walking around asking people like Trump or Kamala. And this one guy said Trump, and she was asking everyone once they said it. And she said, well, why is that? Give me a reason. And he said, because he owns a housing market and it was doing great when Trump was in office. In the last 3.5 years, it's been shit, and he wants it to go back to good. So, again, just to kind of prove your point of how much they affect the economy.
I saw a video the other day that a guy was doing the same thing, and he was in Home Depot and Lowe's, and it was so funny because of that location. Not a single person said Kamala. Every single person that was there said Trump.
That's
Yeah.
funny. But lastly, just to review and conclude, like I mentioned, no dividends or earnings left for August. So it's going to be a pretty quiet week next week, besides the Fed updates, and might shed a little more light on some purchasing decisions, if I have any, for the first weekly deposit.
All right, kicking it off with my weekly stats and highlights. Cooking Depot, I posted my typical 7 videos. On TikTok over the last 7 days, I had 281,000 views, 8,926 likes and 1,444 new followers. So now I'm at 8,309 followers. My meal prep vids, I've been back to meal prepping since I've been back to work. And so I've been posting them on Mondays as Meal Prep Monday videos. And honestly, those have been doing really, really well. So the 3 that I've posted as of yesterday, their stats were 117,000 for the one now 3 weeks ago, or no, 2 weeks ago, I guess. And then 1 week ago, it was 18.9 thousand. And then this week's, which I just posted a couple days ago, Monday, was already at 15,500. And that was yesterday since we're recording a day late. And today, I think it's up to like 25,000. So those videos in itself are seeing a lot of success view wise on TikTok. The video that I posted on Friday was actually the first video in a long time that I just didn't have something prepped. I mentioned this on the pod last week when I was saying I'd like to get more than 1 to 2 days ahead because I don't like having to record a video in order to be able to post that day. And so I didn't have anything prepped come Friday. After work, I went and had some drinks with some girls to just celebrate our first week being done at school. And then after that, I just really didn't feel like cooking. So I just kind of put together a video based on old footage. And it was just the first time in a long time that I was not like super proud of a video. And I feel like I just kind of posted just to post, which was a weird feeling. But views wise, it wasn't like super low views. It still did fine view wise. It's just me being me, I guess. But I wanted to ask you guys what I should do to celebrate whenever I get to 10K, because if it continues in the same way it's been, especially this past week, it's probably going to happen like this upcoming week or the one after that.
First off, I just want to mention a few things. I don't think you should beat yourself up, and I think you should have some grace that in that situation on that Friday, if you just didn't post, that's okay too. But in the same breath, I also love the ambition and the consistency and the dedication just to stick to the goal, stick to the consistency, stick to the habit of posting every day. And I think just the comment of that you don't feel proud of it and that you're even bringing it up that you just posted just to post brings up the genuine authenticity of your page, of just how much effort and care you put into crafting it and how much work it really takes you to produce the final product that is Cook and Depot. And I think that's really why your results are what they are. They're very impressive and the trends are what they are. And I think goes back to very early on again of the things that we discussed when starting the pod of where weren't you going to compromise, what morals and values were you going to uphold. That was always something that you upheld was I care about my videos, I want to be authentic, I want to be genuine, and I want to post good quality content. I don't want to just post for views, and I don't want to just post to post. And I think that's been your bread and butter, and it's just really cool to see. And I loved that you brought up that comment. I think that just says everything about your page and the success you've been having, and it's just great to see. And then to follow that up with the question that you really asked, which was, what should you do to celebrate? I don't know, but do something awesome because it's definitely going to be this week. I've been calling it that it would be done before August, and I'm confident my call will stand because I know that it's already over 8,309 as of right now, because that was a stat from yesterday. So yeah, I know we're getting close, and I know it's coming. What should you do to celebrate? Maybe don't post. Maybe take a day off. Maybe take a day off doing absolutely nothing for Cook and Depot. That's my suggestion.
I like that suggestion, but I also think knowing you're going to want to do something, especially posting wise. So maybe make a cake that is in the shape of 10.
That's so cliche, but I love it.
Or just make a cake in general, like a really small cake, and get 10 like the letter or the number 10 balloons. Like something that you can still post, but it can be easy.
As
Or even
yeah.
just go to the store and get a fucking cake. Like do something, like I don't know, just like I understand like yes, it's cliche, but who the fuck cares? Like
No, I can see all the creative juices blowing up in Amanda's eyes as you were talking. I could see like her mouth watering, like, oh my God, now I have so many ideas. Oh my God, I'm about to go. Oh my God. But my only last comment is, even if you just got a fuck ton of ideas, you can still take my suggestion and do those ideas the next day. So
I like both. And what I really like about Lexi's is that it still ties into my normal content. I could film a recipe for making whatever it is I would make, whether it be a cake or something else, and have it still be a video pretty much like I would normally post, but it little snuck in there, you know?
yep.
Yeah, I really didn't think it was going to happen by the end of August. I thought Kyle was way too aggressive with that bet, but and I don't know that it will cuz what there's 8 more days. It'll be close though.
9.
It'll be close.
I mean, I do really think how you said your meal prep videos are popping off. I mean, again, for a lot of people don't really, let's say, watch what they eat as much over the summer. Summer's coming to an end, school's going back. Like everyone's trying to get back in that routine and mindset of I need to eat good, I need to go to the gym, I need a meal prep, I need to do this. And I feel like having all of that come together right now, and especially you now starting to post that, which honestly wasn't even on purpose. It was just because that's what you were
Mm-hmm.
doing. I just think is crazy and also awesome because you're giving the people what they want.
Yeah. And as you were rattling off those reasons, it popped in my head that some people are just now going back into the office and they didn't need to meal prep when they were working from home. So that's a reason why I think that has an impact on it too. But moving on to Instagram stats, I had 7,461 accounts reached, 91 likes, and 5 new followers. So now I'm at 136. On YouTube, 12,263 views, 420 likes, 33 new subscribers. So now I'm at 141. And Kyle called it. YouTube has officially passed Instagram in subscribers compared to followers.
I make a lot of good takes. What can I say?
And then for Mern, I didn't post any videos this week, but on TikTok, I had 2,425 views, 156 likes, and 1 new follower to be at 63. Last week, I talked about how I just posted the video that I posted last week the night before. So a lot of the stats from that one video would have ended up on this week's stats, which you see clearly there. And then on Instagram, 36 accounts reached, 2 likes, 0 new followers, so 23. And I've had 3 of the 4 last weeks that I haven't posted anything on Mern. I see that changing drastically in the upcoming weeks because I am out of town 4 of the next 5 weekends. So plenty of opportunities to film content. So Mern will definitely be kicking the next few weeks. So that's all I got stats wise. In terms of what I got done this week, I feel like I didn't do a lot, but at the same time, I did a lot. The one thing that I did is I created an expense sheet. And what I'm doing is just putting anytime I go grocery shopping, whether it's specific foods that I'm using in a video or not, I'm just putting all of it on the expense sheet because even if it's something like mayo where some of it might be used for a video, at some points, pretty much everything that I buy will end up in something that I cook. So I did start doing that. I almost caught up with being behind on Christmas and Thanksgiving stuff. At this point, by the end of this week, I should have 6 recipes done if I stayed on track with my 2 per week because I started it. This is the 3rd week. And I got 4 of the 6 done. So I'm almost back on track. I'm hoping by the end of next week I'll be fully back on track. But in addition to those 4, I also filmed 11 other videos, one of which was one that I'm just not going to post. It didn't turn out the way I wanted. But if you add that up, I filmed 15 videos in the last 7 days. So definitely busy.
Just to kind of how you said you are starting the expense spreadsheet. One, I think it's a very good idea. I also am curious. I know you're not going to know this off the top of your head, so just kind of a task for you to do for next week. I want to know what your grocery bills looked like per month or per week, whatever you want to do before Cooking Depot and after Cooking Depot started.
That's good. I like that.
I genuinely am really intrigued. Like, how much more are you spending now that you're really trying to film videos and make that content?
I don't know the numbers right now. It would be something that I would have to do in this upcoming week. But my first instinct response is to say that I don't know if there's going to be much of a difference for the sheer fact that now I'm much more aware of the things that I'm buying because of doing this. I've gotten into such the what's in the food, what are the ingredients, what's actually good for you kind of thing. When before I would just buy all kinds of different bags of French fries that I would keep in my freezer, uh, chicken nuggets, boxes of mac and cheese. Like I would have all kinds of stuff in stock in my cabinets at all times. And I feel like I don't have that now. So it would be interesting. I'll definitely make note to do the math this week, look back and tally up.
I
It's
mean, even if
interesting. I was cooking dinner the other night and looking through the pantry. It is funny how you realize how shit just accumulates.
Mm-hmm.
Where I'm looking in there and I bought pasta in my groceries from the week prior. And you look in the pantry, there's 3 boxes of pasta in the fucking pantry. Like, why did I buy pasta?
Mm-hmm.
And it's just interesting how your pantry can stock up like that with like 6 cans of tomato sauce or something, just because
Yeah.
you don't think of shopping from your pantry. You shop and then shit ends up in your pantry, and it's
Yeah.
interesting because you cook so much. You do shop from your pantry.
Yeah. Yeah. And I do keep a lot of stuff, but I definitely consider myself, if you heard the term ingredient household going viral a little while ago, I definitely consider myself an ingredient household. Typically, if I find a recipe that I want to make, unless it's like a really specific ingredient, I have all the ingredients already to make it. So I do keep all ingredients in my house. But in terms of just random other products, I don't really keep on hand.
But as a side note, I would be interested in testing out a beta consulting program with you and pay you to consult with me on how to effectively manage my pantry and my shopping weekly to week and prepare for me to make efficient and healthy groceries while managing a budget and just eating a lot of your high protein meal prep stuff, but kind of helping me become a ingredient household myself, and just like what are the things to keep in the house, what are good things to structure your grocery weekly grocery list around versus the bi-weekly grocery list versus the monthly, etc. um, I would be very interested to exploring that option, and it could be your first dollar.
Well, I hate to break it to you, but you're not getting here until November 1st. And if I'm at 10K by the end of the week, then my first dollar is happening a lot before then. But no,
Doesn't it can be video consulting. I wasn't necessarily saying that you needed to go to the that's exactly why I'm saying to do it now versus when I'm down there. When I'm down there, yeah, I'm gonna be on Cook and Depot's eating schedule already. I mean, for the next like 2-3 months prior to like video consulting, where like we put together a grocery list. Like I show you and talk through like what's in my pantry, what's in my fridge, what's in my deep freeze, etc.,
Yeah.
and like brainstorm and just kind of plan all that out.
I also do think it would be easier if we were together, though. Like we go to the grocery store and you watch what I do and then go from there. I don't know, though. Like I would love to do that with you. I don't know if I see myself going that route looking for profit.
I totally felt that that was going to be your response, and that's totally fine. I think it would be really cool to do it with me, obviously, just because we're brother and sister. But I think it will also be cool to show you the scalability of it if we did it via email and call, like not even FaceTime, where we just talk on the phone, keep it very platonic, where it's phone calls and emails back and forth that you can see how little work you really have to do to be getting a subscription type revenue from clients where you don't actually ever have to show your face. You don't have to meet these people. You don't have to be super involved if you don't want to be, but it's something that you can make a real impact on people and help people and make a profit while doing it,
Mm-hmm.
all along the kind of same niche and ethos of your page and your content.
Mm-hmm.
To
I
kind
know
of
that I can see your head spinning with all the ideas. It's something to think about. I'd be super interested. Go ahead and brainstorm and think about it, and we can even talk a little bit off pod if you like.
I mean, just to kind of go off of that, if you didn't want to do it with everyone, you could do it with just your friends and family if they asked.
Mm-hmm.
But I would also, I know you're saying it'd be a lot easier if you were with me. You could literally get a body cam, a fucking GoPro or whatever, take it with you in the store and just video yourself shopping. For like, say someone says this is how much protein I want to hit, or this is whatever, take me what you would go buy in the store and walk around, pick up items, show as if you'd be putting them in the cart. Like, while you're already at the
Or
store
you,
shopping
and
for
it's
yourself, you could be
crazy
doing things
now.
like that.
It's crazy now with the grocery delivery orders. You could just
Mm-hmm.
log into my GetGo account, put together an order, I pay for it, and have it delivered to my house.
Yeah. Definitely something to think about. I just need to decide what,
And
yeah.
just as another idea to add to the wheels spinning up there in your brain, um, wouldn't you be interested in cooking and meal prepping and planning for people like Travis Kelsey and people like that? Like, not to say that this is a very probable plan for profit, but if you create a social media presence and become good at what I'm talking about, advising people on health, nutrition, and just how to effectively manage all this stuff, it'd be pretty cool to just do that full time for famous people.
Mm.
I think so.
I don't think that's Amanda though.
Mm-mm.
I don't either, but I'm just saying it just came to my head. It was just an interesting
Yeah.
idea
Yeah.
to add fuel to the fire of all the possibilities of just this like consulting idea,
Yeah.
more or less.
Moving on to just some general update things from the week. I really need to be better at checking my notifications on YouTube. I feel like even Instagram somewhat. I am checking TikTok so many times a day, but I don't really check the notifications on either of the other ones. And what made me think of this is the one comment that I got this week on one of my videos on YouTube. This guy commented and he was like, "Are you married?" And then he entered. He's like, "If not, do you want to be?" LOL. And that was, I think, my favorite comment to date. I laughed so hard when I saw that. Um, YouTube, a couple weeks ago, I talked about that glitch that happened where I had a bunch of likes and like no views. Same thing happened again this week. I had 1 view and 5 likes on it. It ends up catching up, but it's weird how it almost glitches out like that. One other thing that I noticed this week is that there's a character limit on comments on TikTok. I was trying to comment back to someone and I like couldn't say everything I wanted to say, which I didn't know existed until this week. And then last, I kind of have gotten to the point where it's kind of really hard to keep up with the notifications on TikTok now. And I don't want to sound like I'm complaining because it's freaking awesome. But literally every time I open TikTok, I have like 50 notifications, and that 50 notifications are even grouped. Like they group this many people liked this video, this many people liked this video. Like they're grouped in things so that 50 is really even more than that. So it's freaking awesome, but it's overwhelming in a good way, but it's overwhelming. So that's all I got general update wise. And then moving on to brand stuff. I didn't make any new contacts this week. I was honestly just so busy between cooking the 15 videos that I cooked and filmed, working out. I just literally had no time to sit down and think about what brands I wanted to reach out to, do the research to find the contact information and all that stuff. But every other week that I've made contacts, I've made multiple. When I said my minimum I wanted to make was 1 per week anyways, so technically I'm still above what I wanted to be at, so not a big deal. And I asked my mom again about getting the contact, and she wasn't really sure even who to contact. So I'm hoping she still gets somewhere with that, but we'll see. And then I noticed I follow, last week I talked about a couple of the brands that I've tagged, like Good Culture, Chosen Foods, and a couple of the brands that I've made videos with their products and tagged them in. And Chosen Foods, who I follow, reposts a lot of people's stories. And what I noticed is the videos that they're reposting on their stories, in the video, they actually show the entire product. So the video that I tagged them in, you could see me using the mayo in the video, but I didn't show the actual container of the mayo. So that's one thing that I just want to add to the list to happen at some point. It doesn't necessarily have to happen this upcoming week, but just making sure that I put the entire product in it so they can see that it's actually their mayo and not just someone else's, to try to get their attention a little bit. And then for the upcoming week, what I want to accomplish is I need to be better at using the spoon rest that Lex made me that I said I would use in my videos. I did post it today. I don't know if you saw my video yet today. I did a little shout out. I like wrote on the video shout out at Anything Cricket Co. So I do need to be better at that. I'm sorry, Lex. I've been slacking in that regard. And I want to start figuring out exactly how to create my LLC with getting this close to 10,000. I think that needs to happen soon. And then the last thing, I want to start to make a starter for friendship bread. Kyle, I know you've had friendship bread, but Lex, if you don't know, friendship bread it's Amish friendship bread, and it's kind of like sourdough in a sense that you have a starter and you have to feed it every certain number of days, and it sits in a Ziploc bag, and certain days you have to like squeeze it and activate it. It's a whole process. And I was looking it up because I asked my mom where I could get a starter for it, and she said you can only get it from a friend. Like that's why it's called friendship bread. And she's like, I think I have some in my freezer. I can give you one. And I'm like, Mom, I live in Florida. You like, how are you going to give me one if it's in your freezer? That doesn't help me. So I was looking it up, and you can make your own starter. So I want to try that and kind of use that documentation to make multiple videos out of. I think it'll be really cool to just show the journey, create a video each day, something happens with the progress of making the starter. Because everyone's making sourdough right now, but who's making a friendship bread starter?
Well, that, and you could be the friend that gives the starter to someone else.
I like that.
And then you could note their journey as well.
I like that.
Start the trend.
I like that a lot. But that's all that I got for you. Besides that, just my goals, keeping them the same as they've been. Make the first dollar, 10,000 followers on TikTok by February 22nd. And looks like it's going to happen a lot sooner than that, which is super exciting. And then first paid brand deal. And then just shouting out my handles. It's cookin.depot, cooking without the G, cookin.depot on Instagram and TikTok. And then on YouTube, it's just Cookin' Depot. There's no dot. And my more lifestyle content, you can find me on Instagram and TikTok at Mern, MERN _.
Just to kind of mention on the LLC, if you want to do it together, I'm right there with you because I've really been slacking on it too. So if you want to try to just figure it out together, I'm down for that.
Honestly, that's not a terrible idea to do as part of our bonus episode.
That's true. I'm writing it down. Okay, do we have anything before I wrap us up?
Nothing else for me.
Kyle? Okay. All right. That does it for today's episode of the Three Path Profits podcast. We want to thank you guys for listening and encourage you to leave comments or questions to help us improve moving forward. We'll be posting episodes every Friday, so stay tuned and make sure you hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out on any episodes or important updates. If you enjoyed the podcast, please tell a friend or family member you think would enjoy. And also, please be sure to check out our social media pages, TikTok and Instagram at 3.path.profits. We appreciate your support, and we'll catch you next week.
Peace.
Bye.